Have you been wondering, how do I pick a location when moving to Denver, Colorado? What are all the bits and bobs that come along with picking a spot? Well, in today's video, I'm going over some top tips for you guys. If that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and keep on watching. Welcome back to Colorado Living. I'm Nicole Baker. Today we're going over exactly that, but before we get started, you know the drill. I have to let you guys know I'm a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state. So if relocating has been on your mind, go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up. I love helping you guys. I know the relocation process is definitely tricky, so you want someone in your corner, but if you're not quite ready to reach out yet, go ahead and subscribe. I post videos all about Denver, Colorado, relocation, where to live and where not to live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. So I'd love to have you guys here and subscribed, but let's get started in today's video. Let's get into the details and some of the tips and tricks I'm going to give you guys on how to pick a location when moving to somewhere that you have potentially never been to. I know that sounds crazy, but people do it all the time, and I'm here to help you really narrow down that location. Of course, when we meet one-on-one, I'm able to get definitely a better feel for what you guys specifically and your family are looking for. But these are kind of some more general tips. So the first things first is definitely figuring out your budget. I don't think that it's smart to even think that you want to be in a certain location until you figure out your price point. Because, for example, your price point in Highlands Ranch is going to be completely different than, let's say, North Aurora and things like that. You're not going to be able to get something in Highlands Ranch for under $500 versus in North Aurora area, you might be able to flex that because it is one of the most affordable cities overall in the Denver, Colorado area. So definitely want to get your budget down. Budgeting is really hard, not because we don't have an idea for ourselves, but it's not necessarily what we want. It's what the bank wants to allow us to borrow. A lot of the times people don't really realize that before they kind of start that home buying process is I can say I can afford $3,000 a month, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can get a loan for that amount, if that makes sense. How you figure out your budget other than just like what you're comfortable with, because that's also very important, but we want to make sure that you're talking to a lender. A lender is going to give you guys a very solid idea of what your budget is, and in that case we can kind of narrow down neighborhoods and things like that after that. But the lender will pull all your information. They calculate your credit score, your debt, the interest rate you can get, like all these little pieces, and then they put together how much you can qualify for. So say they come back and say, you guys can be collaborative too. I highly suggest that. Don't just say like, oh, the lender says I can qualify for this amount. That's like way more than I thought that I wanted to spend. Definitely let them know, hey, this is my budget. I don't want to spend more than, I'm going to be dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. I don't want to spend more than $1,000 a month. That's not going to happen. But again, for the sake of being dramatic, you go ahead and tell the lender that. They will kind of set you up and qualify you based on those numbers. And I think that's really important. Staying inside your budget is like really hard a lot of the times, because we'll get out there and we'll look at these houses, or we'll already kind of have an idea of what neighborhood we want to be in. But unfortunately, that is really just setting you back in the long run, because if you can't afford that neighborhood, it's going to be really hard to think about living anywhere else once you've kind of made up your mind. So highly suggest talking to a lender. If you guys want suggestions on lenders, I do have a preferred lender for you guys. I don't get anything from them. I just really suggest that you use them because they're familiar with the relocation process and all of those things that go along with being qualified in general. But yes, if you need suggestions, I can definitely give those to you. Or if you have someone that is local, I highly suggest speaking to someone that's more local, just because they're more familiar with the market and kind of like the people that live here. A lot of the times they work with the same agents, and that kind of gives you a little bit more pull. I mean, I can go into a full detail video on why you should use a local lender, but this is not that video. But if you need suggestions, let me know. If not, stick to a local lender and get that budget set up. going to be making sure you guys have an idea of what you're looking for in a neighborhood. I know that's kind of a weird situation, especially if you've always lived in the same area. Like for me in Phoenix, I didn't necessarily grow up in Phoenix, but in one of the surrounding suburbs. And I just knew I wanted to be in those areas. I never really thought of like, oh, I want to do something for fun. I just wanted to be close to my family. That was pretty much priority. But if you guys are moving to a new state, you might not even have family here or have like that connection where you want to be close to something specific. Typically, a lot of the time people want to be close to their work. If you guys work remotely, you might not have to worry about that, which is awesome. But a lot of the times that's going to be your first thing, is like, where is my work located? And then I would say looking at things that I want to do for fun. So things like, do I want to be out in the mountains every single weekend? And a lot of the people that are relocating to Denver, Colorado definitely do enjoy that, and that's one of the main priorities that they're gonna have when they move out here, is just being out in the woods and enjoying the nature that Colorado has. So you definitely want to be in a certain spot that's going to give you quick access to going out to the mountains every single weekend. If you don't mind a little bit of a drive to the mountains, and say you're only going to be there once a month or once every other month or whatever the case may be, and you want to definitely stick to something like you don't really care as long as it's in your budget, I guess, then you'll have way more options. So if you want to stick towards the mountains, you want to definitely be, I would say, on the western side of Denver. So if you were going to cut Denver right down the middle, you want to be on the western side. So Lakewood, Arvada, places like that where you're going to have quick access. Of course, Boulder's super, super expensive. So that's again where the budget comes in. Like if you tell me your budget's $500,000 and you want to live in Boulder, I'm going to have to let you know that that might not work out. Probably, I would say that's not going to work out, since the average price point is about $1 million there. So that's why I say budget number one for sure, no doubts about that. But there's other options if you want to be close to the mountains. If you don't mind the mountains and you just want a nice like suburb or whatever the case may be, that's something affordable, there's going to be some other options that aren't going to be close to the mountains, like Southeast Aurora or Castle Rock or things like that, where you're going to be able to get a little bit more bang for your buck. And then also, the next thing is definitely going to be, you know, what school districts do you want to be in? I think that that goes into like activities, fun, kids, all of that, kind of like that big category of like, why am I going to pick the place that I'm going to pick? School districts are super important to a lot of people. I highly suggest going onto niche.com and things like that to find out more about school districts. And I know that Cherry Creek School District and Douglas County School Districts are some of the tops, and those are going to be in like Greenwood Village, Southeast Aurora, Castle Rock, things like that. But definitely go check that link out in the description. I have a couple different links so you guys can check out schools and things like that. Or if you guys like nightlife, like you're not going to want to live in Castle Rock if you enjoy lots of activity, nightlife, that kind of thing, because you are going to be about 45 minutes from downtown Denver where all the activities are going down. So definitely keep all these things in mind when you're thinking about picking your location. I would highly suggest having just like top 5 lists of things that you guys like to do, whether it be by yourself, whether it be as a family. Like, what are you looking for in a neighborhood? And when you guys reach out to me, you guys are always saying like, oh, you want help, of course, you of course want help picking the location. So I always ask you guys, what do you guys like to do for fun? So I would highly suggest having that list ready to go whenever you are ready to reach out and whenever you're picking your location. So you have your top 5 list, and now you are going to do as much research as you possibly can. If you're like me, of course, I am a research psycho. I plan and plan and plan and plan. You can never do too much planning in my mind. I would highly suggest going on to those websites that I mentioned in the previous section, like niche.com, greatschools.com. I believe it's what it's called. It's whatever's in my description box down below. Check out those 2 links. Niche.com is absolutely insane. Tons of information, tons of reviews on every single city. Of course, take every review, I would say, with a grain of salt. A lot of these people, I don't know. You know how reviews go. Sometimes they just get mad about something random that might not even like pertain to you. I was reading some of the reviews, for example, on Parker whenever I was thinking about moving out here, and some of them were like, oh, it's too many commercial restaurants or something like that. And I was like, oh, I don't care about that. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. I actually prefer it sometimes. So if you don't care about these things, just make sure you read the reviews and why they're rated what they are. I would highly suggest that. And then next is you obviously have your list of like things that you want to do for fun. What I would highly suggest is going onto Google Maps and kind of typing in some of these things. For example, you like to go to the mountains. That's a pretty simple one. You like to go to the mountains, so you're on Google Maps, you're looking at the mountains. Okay, these are the cities that make sense for close distance and proximity to the mountains. Definitely write those down and kind of go like, just zoom in on those cities, and like it literally shows you everything. Like, it shows you street views, it shows you like what areas are the busiest. So say you like to go to I need to be close to a Starbucks. Like, it's not an option because I am just like, I don't spend my money on a lot of things. I don't have a lot of like vices, we'll say. So like, that's the one thing that I have to have every single day. So I will always live close to a Starbucks. You can go in on Google Maps and zoom in and say, where are all the Starbucks in Southeast Aurora? Okay, here's what that looks like. Where are all the Starbucks in Castle Rock? I know this is like a very small minor detail, and most of you guys aren't planning on where you're going to live based off of a Starbucks, but just the small things, guys. I'm just explaining it in very, like, I guess, easy terms to make it simple for everybody, and like a little bit more broad for everyone, whether it be you go to Costco every single Sunday with your family and you like to shop at Costco because you like to get those deals. Okay, where are the Costco's in Southeast Aurora? You're super big into fitness. You love Lifetime Fitness. There's not a Lifetime Fitness like pretty much anywhere in Colorado. I think they maybe have like 3 locations. And if you love your Lifetime, you're gonna wanna live next to a Lifetime, at least kind of close. So make sure you're Googling on Google Map where the Lifetime Fitness is near Denver, Colorado. And then that will show you that. Do you like to go golfing? You wanna be close to a lot of golf courses. Guys, the opportunities are endless when it comes to Google Maps, and I highly suggest you use it, because even if I am telling you, like, I don't know where every single Starbucks is in like all of Denver, Colorado. I don't know where every single Lifetime Fitness is. I might not even know that that's important to you. So make sure you guys are doing your research. Of course, I'm here as a resource as well. I highly suggest reaching out to me, as I'm going to be able to guide you guys in the right direction, whether or not, like, it's not gonna be like things that you can obviously easily look up yourself. It's more gonna be like, how are the vibes in these areas? Like, do you want a small town feel? Okay, you definitely don't wanna be in downtown Denver. You wanna be in maybe Castle Rock, or if you want even more smaller town feel, maybe you wanna be in Elizabeth. All these things kind of add up that you can't necessarily look into. So definitely reach out if you're wanting that kind of information, but highly suggest you do as much possible research as you can before making the move to Denver, Colorado. I think a big no-no when it comes to picking your location is narrowing down too much. You definitely want to have maybe your top 2 to 3 cities, depending on how big those cities are, that you could actually see yourself living in based off of all the things that we've talked about previously. So whether it be activities, whether it be work, whether it be budget, of course that's major. You want to have at least 2 to 3 cities that you're willing to kind of check out. You don't want to limit yourself, because just because you think that you like Castle Rock the most doesn't mean you won't like Southeast Aurora just as much, and maybe you just don't even know it yet, and you might even get a better deal or see a house that you really love in those areas. So I would definitely have your top 2 to 3 locations that you're willing to purchase in, and be open-minded to those locations as well. You guys might not know, but whenever you're doing your research and you say, hey Nicole, I really love Littleton, Colorado. Okay, well, how about we look X, Y, and Z, so that way, you know, it leaves you with more opportunity and it kind of has that same feel, and you guys can have more options at your hand. I highly suggest that whenever you're trying to narrow down the location, because you don't want to be limited to, say, one small little area that has like no houses available and there's only a couple in your budget. You're gonna get really frustrated and you're gonna have what's called buyer fatigue pretty easily. But you guys are in a lucky market, at least right now when I'm filming this video, where there's a lot more houses available than there was 6 months to a year ago, when there was pretty much no houses at all. You guys are definitely in a better situation where even if you were to pick, say, 2 cities, or you really had your eye on Castle Rock, you probably will have a good amount of opportunity when it comes to moving to your specific location that you're interested in. Last but not least, and I think this is super, super important and what I would highly suggest, is getting set up on some sort of search. What I would suggest is obviously the MLS Search. I set you guys up on my website, kind of get you started on looking at houses before you plan to move here, before you plan to purchase. I think that's going even more into detail on like the research aspect of it, is like, okay, now we have our 2 to 3 locations that we're really interested in. We have our budget, we know like what we like to do for fun, and these areas have all of that. What kind of houses are going to be available in these areas? I highly, highly suggest that, and it makes it easier for me too whenever you guys do move here, or say we're doing lots of virtual tours and things like that. You being able to see these houses and see pictures and know your budget and do all these things, it makes it so much simpler for us to really do like virtual tours and things like that. And I know what you guys like and all of these things. That's why meeting in any sort of setting, whether it be in person, of course I love meeting you guys in person, that's highly suggested, coming out here at least once, but not everybody can do that, unfortunately. So even if it's through a Zoom meeting of some sorts, I think meeting in some sort of aspect would highly help us in our search. But going back to the MLS Search, we're gonna set you up on a search. I'm going to put, okay, say your budget 600,000, I'm gonna put you on a search for 550 to, let's say, 615, for the sake of sometimes we can get really amazing deals right now, so we might be able to get them drop the price if it makes sense. That's on a variable case scenario, but point being is I'm gonna see the houses that you guys are liking. You guys are gonna be able to see houses that you're liking and really be able to essentially like lock in those locations. Like, okay, I know I see houses right here in this area, in my budget, all of the things in Castle Rock. I see that all the things that I'm looking for are in Southeast Aurora. I see, you know what I mean? Like, it makes it so much simpler for when it's actually time to start shopping for homes, because you do not want to be in a situation where you're trying to play catch up the whole time while you're actually looking for homes, because it's already stressful enough. If you've never bought a home, or if you have bought a home, or if you're selling your house in your one state and trying to buy a home in a different state, you are going to get stressed out. It is just what it is, and I'm here to make it simpler for you guys. So taking my tips and tricks are going to make your life easier. Of course, do what's comfortable for you and your family, but these are just some of the things that I've learned over the years of doing real estate. Like, you're not gonna wanna put yourself in these situations. It's already tough enough. Make it easier on yourself, put some of the weight on me, and your life will be a lot easier and a very easy, hopefully, crossing my fingers, non-stressful, easy transition to Colorado, where you're going to absolutely flourish. Anyways, I'm not going to manifest too much for you guys. You'll love it, but you get what I'm saying. When it comes to picking a location, it can be tough, but if you follow these tips and tricks, you will be in the right direction. That's it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some tips and tricks and you're going to be using those. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button down below. If you guys want more content just like this, again, I post every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. all about the relocation process. And if you want more information from me that you can't get in any of these videos and you're ready to start doing your research, go ahead and reach out. Number and email are popping up. I love helping you guys. I love walking you through the relocation process, just as I did when I moved here. But until next time, guys, I will see you later. Bye.